Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Marcel Spears about The Neighborhood on CBS. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, PD.
It's exciting. The most recent season just dropped. I mean, how are you feeling right now? Is it an interesting feeling? A couple of weeks before the new season starts, fall. It's back. The Neighborhood. What's that like for you?
It's like you have this sort of nervous excitement, like not nervous excitement, but like that anticipation, that everybody's gearing up, everybody's ready to get back. I feel like last year, because of COVID and the lockdowns and everything, at that point, I think everybody was just grateful to still be working. And we kept waiting for like something to happen where the show shut down or like somebody get COVID and then the show shuts down. And I feel like this year we know that like everybody just wants good TV. Like everybody just wants to make good TV and they want our viewers to enjoy it. So we're really having fun just making the show that we're making because we know that our audience needs it at this time. It's really healing for us.
That was what I was going to say. We need shows like The Neighborhood more than ever now.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's amazing. I love your character. I love the instant chemistry your character has with everyone, whether it's Cedric, like everyone. It's just so much fun. I just wanted to know, what was it like when you got casted and you started working with everyone? Did it just click right away with the cast? Like, what was that like? Yeah.
It clicked right away.
You could tell, absolutely.
It's funny because the function of Marty in the show is that he kind of can get along with everybody. Like he's from Pasadena, like he's from that like area of Pasadena that's like the hood or whatever the case may be. But he's kind of like an outlier in his family in that a lot of the things that he enjoys and a lot of he's a man of the world. And so he kind of bridges the gap between the two families. But that aside from our on-screen like chemistry and what that's supposed to be, behind the scenes, like everybody is really cool. Like everybody's family, everybody kicks it. Like I feel like my castmates are some of my really good friends. Like I really enjoy coming to work. We crack jokes on each other all the time. We'll go out to like cast outings or hang out at somebody's house or something like that. Like it's really good.
Did you always know that storytelling, like whether it was the acting or a comedy like that, did you always have an idea that this was going to be your path?
No, I always knew I was good at it. I always knew that I was a natural storyteller. I feel like I have a lot of like really natural storytellers in my family. There's a lot of comedians in my family, a lot of really funny people, a lot of very colorful characters. So I always knew that I had like the ability to do that, to capture the attention. I have a big family. And so whenever you get a chance to like crack a joke and the whole family laughs and everybody's paying attention, like you sort of feel like, oh, I'm good at this thing. But originally I thought I was going to be a zoologist, man. I legitimately thought I was going to be an animal scientist. That was like my path. That was my passion. And I was pursuing that very vigorously. And then I think in really sort of formative years, I just gravitated towards storytelling. And I think acting became a vehicle for me to find myself, but also to like grow and challenge myself in a way that I think helped me be the person I am today.
I don't know about you, and this happens with your character on The Neighborhood sometimes, and I want to know what you mean. I feel like the comedy that hits right now are just like the characters where they say something that they're not trying to be funny. Yeah. And then it just kind of comes off funny. Like I feel, you know, that's what I feel like is hitting these days.
I mean, look, man, one of my favorite TV shows is like The Office. I mean, everybody loves The Office. One of my favorite shows is The Office, and like that sort of like that awkward, like embarrassing comedy where like everybody's in on the joke, but that character has always appealed to me. So I feel like a character like Marty, who is so earnest in some of the things that he really loves, it gives the cast an opportunity to laugh, like that cast of characters, but also gives people at home to sort of identify those parts or those awkward moments that they have within themselves, and it gives everybody permission to laugh. Like that stuff is just really funny.
Well, it's funny you mentioned The Office because you can link this to The Neighborhood, I feel like, because I go back and watch past seasons of The Neighborhood, just like if I'm looking to go back and just watch, I put it on because it's just one of those shows where I feel like doesn't have a shelf life. When I talked to Melora Hardin, who played Jan in The Office last year, she said that with The Office, but I'm going to tell you honestly, it's one of those comforting shows, The Neighborhood, that you can just put on and just not get sick and tired of it. It's great.
Yeah, man. It's one of those shows that it can be like funny and ridiculous and like a little hokey, but it has so much heart, and it has like it surprises you with the humor and the warmth of the humor. Like the jokes that we're able to tell. Obviously, it's a network TV show, so like it doesn't have the edge that some of the cable shows has. But like we are able to just make a show that is something that everybody can enjoy. It's something that everybody can find something in. It's something that everybody can identify with at least one of the characters. And that's the thing that I loved about The Office. Yeah. Like that sort of ensemble, that sort of like group of people, like you could find yourself in at least one person. And really,
for me too, that show too was because I've always been involved, like I've always been into digital media and tech. Silicon Valley on HBO, that was the show for me. Like when I was watching that, I was like, I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, you like, and that's the thing that, like, not to say that people are vain, but like you want to identify with the characters that you love, and the ones that you love the most are the ones that you most identify with. So when you see yourself in a show, when you see yourself on TV, like that just gives you an opportunity to be like, I'm home. Like I know what this is.
Absolutely. No, it's unbelievable. I do have like some general kind of storyteller questions I want to pick your brain about, but one more kind of main Neighborhood question. When people get to watch The Neighborhood on CBS, Marcel, what are you hoping they get out of it, takeaway wise?
I'm hoping that they see themselves. I'm hoping that they realize that like The Neighborhood represents those people in that neighborhood specifically, but it also broader, like if you pull out, it represents all of us. Like I hope people are encouraged to get to know their neighbors, which I feel like social media and like cell phones and things like that, those person-to-person interactions don't happen as often. Like you could live in an apartment for 2 years and not know who your next door neighbor is. Like I hope people sort of get to know the people that they live around. I hope like that sort of sense of community is still established outside of like digitally. I hope that people remember like it's okay to go outside and say what's up to the people that you live next to, or like have those special moments, or even have those moments where like the dude down the hall is like super weird and I can bond with my next door neighbor about like how weird that dude is, right? Like we can all have that moment.
But the importance of those shows right now, like I just want to say thank you because you provide like an escape when people really need it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you never get tired of hearing that.
No, because I mean, we need it. Like as the act, like doing the show, like we need it. Like sometimes, especially now this season, like the last couple of episodes have been kind of, not the last couple, but 2 weeks ago we had like a really heavy episode that dealt with addiction and like soldiers sort of returning home from war. And then this week's episode, like Beth's character is gonna go through a miscarriage. Like we talk about these things, we like put them through the lens of comedy so that they're sort of approachable, so that it kind of disarms people from feeling too on edge. But I think the healing that you get, like having a moment to really like hold that and then release it, I think is so beneficial for anybody that watches the show.
That interests me because that is something also I want to ask you about too. Sitcoms, growing up myself watching the sitcoms, there's a lot of goofy sitcoms, kind of like you said, the hokey aspect of it. At one point, Marcel, there was a shift where sitcoms got real. It wasn't about just the jokes. It had a serious undertone to it. For you, when did you notice that transition in sitcoms? I'm just curious.
I mean, the sitcoms that I love have always done that. Like, I used to watch Fresh Prince. I used to watch even Saved by the Bell. Like,
they say that's when kind of it started a little bit, like the 90s.
So you have these moments, but even going back to like Good Times and like All in the Family, like those shows, like you would have some of these goofy, zany, crazy episodes, and then every once in a while you get an episode that tugs on your heartstrings a little bit, that like hits a little closer to home and gets you an opportunity to see that these characters that you watch every week that are funny and crazy and make you laugh also have like real experience.
I'm thinking about it now. You're absolutely right. Like all the sitcoms I'm thinking about that I used to watch always had those like hard hitting Boy Meets World, Full House. They all had those episodes.
Boy Meets World was like one of my favorite shows, yo.
Yeah.
Boy Meets World was one of my favorite shows all time. And they always had like, I felt like it makes you feel.
Do you remember the episode where Sean like joined the cult?
Yes.
The center? Do you remember that?
Sean joined the cult. Sean's dad like had a heart attack. We find out that Sean's mom like left her dad and like left him there. So he had like all these mommy issues because his mom didn't want him. Like all of those things are like really important. Like, is Corey gonna marry Topanga? Are they gonna break up?
Yep.
Like, are we growing apart?
And then the Disney Channel like show they did Girl Meets Worlds about his like about their daughter. That one, like I had cousins that watched it. That one they hit a lot of like
they did.
It hit a lot of important issues. Like it's crazy.
But I think good sitcoms have always been able to have that balance. I think in order to have any kind of longevity, you need that balance because yes, people need an escape. Yes, people need to laugh. But they also like if you don't have that relatability, that balance in life that sort of reflects on TV what we experience in everyday life, eventually it gets this kind of veneer, like this really shiny wash that nobody can relate to, and nobody really. We're not going to watch that as often.
Oh, I agree. It's so true. What a great discussion about sitcoms with someone on an amazing sitcom, right?
Yeah.
Only on Popternative. Marcel, they're saying we're in the golden age of TV and content right now and film. Some of the stuff coming out is just unbelievable. I kind of want to have a little bit of a discussion before we wrap up this interview about what things do you really think are the reasons why TV and film right now is so golden and so amazing and so special? I personally lean towards the access, the global access. The fact that these shows are just hitting so quick all over the world and people get to watch it. I think that's huge. I don't think we can discount the amazing storytelling that's happening and the visuals and everything, okay? But like I feel like the access is just it's overwhelming, and I feel like it is the big argument that you can make of why we really are in the golden age of TV and film. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I agree. I think it's two things. I think it's the access that everybody has to these things. So like for me, watching a show that's like such a huge cultural phenomenon like Squid Games, that's a Korean show. And I would never have seen that show when I was a kid. Like I would have never seen that show when I was a teenager. It's the fact that we have such a huge global community that a show like that is able to get a vehicle like Netflix to get it for me to digest.
But isn't it awesome though, as a storyteller, seeing that? Like it's pretty cool.
That's crazy because you get and that brings me to my next thing about why TV is sort of in this golden age. But the people telling the stories are changing. The people who get to tell the stories are becoming more diverse and more vast in like their experiences. So you get somebody who's in Korea who spent 10 years trying to write this crazy show about like kids games.
That's eye-opening stuff, eh?
Basically like a grown-up Hunger Games. Like you get somebody like that to tell that story and you can find yourself in it. You ask yourself like, how would I survive? What would I do? Like you get to enjoy these shows because the people telling these stories become more diverse and become more like expansive in their identities and in the ways that they tell stories.
I find it hard to keep up. Like there's so many good shows.
It does feel like sometimes it feels like there's like this flood of content. Sometimes it feels that way. But I think the good thing is if you can keep perspective and try not to get spoiled with having the ability to see so many different things. If you can keep in the perspective that like somebody made this show with you in mind, like the show that you enjoy, like somebody put their all into this art because they knew that it would have a fan base. They knew that it would be relatable. I think you can like find your way through it. So like, I'm not always on top of everything that's out there, and I don't fault anybody who is like not watching The Neighborhood right now. For me, whenever I find somebody who just started watching The Neighborhood, it's an opportunity for me to introduce like this really cool show that I'm on to somebody who just didn't have the time, or like I don't watch TV as much, or I only watch Netflix, or whatever the case may be. It gives me an opportunity to introduce that show to somebody new. And I think that's the thing that I enjoy about this overwhelming wall of content that we all have and the many different streaming services that we have is every once in a while I get to discover something new that may not be new to everybody, but it's new to me and I get to enjoy it.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And before we wrap up, we're having a good time. I like the vibe going on right now. I do need to ask you, is Marcel Spears a fan of a dad joke? Do you like a good dad joke?
Dude, I love dad jokes.
Did you hear about the kidnapping?
What kidnapping?
It's okay, he woke up. Or did you know that the shovel was a groundbreaking invention? And remember that time we worked at this the shoe factory, but we quit because it was soul destroying?
These are good.
But you know what? I had a joke about construction, but I'm gonna save it till the next time you're on the show because I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But Marcel, thank you so much for joining me on Popternative. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, Petey.
So CBS, The Neighborhood, they can watch it now. Basically,
yes, sir. Monday nights, 8 p.m.
Monday night. It's pretty easy it's pretty easy to plug, eh? Monday nights, 8 p.m.
Monday nights, 8 p.m. That's the benefit of like network TV. Like, they networks have like a very strict schedule, so you can see that thing. Every week we on there.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Mr. Marcel Spears is my handle. Like, just hit me up and tell me how you enjoy the show, or ask weird questions. Like, I'm there.
Or tell you a dad joke.
Or tell me a dad joke.
Absolutely. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, you can catch Marcel in the Neighborhood on CBS. Until next time, it's Marcel Spears and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.